I haven't watched South Park for quite a few years. So today I decided to do a little bit of catching up. I wanted to see if the episodes are as good as I remember. And I got to see the episode with the Chinese Olympics. Yeah, like that's how far back I got. And it talked about something that I noticed in my real life. It's like one of those things where you notice, but you just don't really think about it. But then someone manages to articulate it into words, and it just blows your mind because it's like, well, yeah, that's true. So this is regarding the Chinese Olympics. You know, like unlike the obscenity that we saw in France, China decided to do something spectacular. They got like over 2,000 people, and they're all beating the drums in synchronicity. They're going, and everyone does the same. You know, like to organize such an event is incredibly difficult. Like you need to tell everyone to which exactly drum to go, where to stay, how to train everyone to beat in synchronicity. And you notice that the women that are watching the Olympics, they're fascinated. Like most of the women, they saw, wow, that's really beautiful, that's really cool. They were amazed. Meanwhile, the men were horrified. Like most men that I was speaking with were genuinely concerned about seeing this. And the question is why, right? And eventually you realize that the reason is that men are assessing danger a lot more than women do. And it's probably evolutionary in nature. I mean, look at what's happening with Ukraine, right? Like there's a conflict going on. The men are literally not allowed to leave the nation, even if they transition, even if they try to use Democrat magic and transition into a woman, like they cannot leave the border. Meanwhile, you know, some women may actually go on the front lines, but it's a choice. Like if women don't want to go on the front line, they don't. So because of that, like men are a lot more assessing risk and danger because they want to avoid the situation where they end up in conflict. So when they're seeing what the Chinese are doing, it horrifies them because it shows a level of skill and synchronicity that they're wondering, like, if their country is capable of. Like, if things kick off in Taiwan and you get, like, a combat situation, like, can their country even face against the might of China? And a lot of men are looking at this, and the answer is probably not. Because in the United States, if you actually do manage to get like 2,000 drummers that are beating in synchronicity, you will have an army of HR hags and diversity officers and gender studies majors that will look at the thing that's working and they will find racismus and homophobismus in it. They will say it's like, well, where are the gays beating the drums? Where are the minorities beating the drums? Where are, right? So immediately, like, they will dismantle the system that is functioning as intended, and they will replace it with race-based nepotism. And it doesn't matter, like, if the system was working, they will change it. But the problem is, like, when you change something that's working, it may or may not work, right? Like, you do not have the guarantee that if you take components away from a system that's functioning and you replace it with something else, there is absolutely no guarantee that it will keep working. And the thing is, like, if the system isn't working, what we notice it's happening in America is that if you point it out, and you pointed out that the reason it's not working is because someone fucked with the system, then you become a problem for pointing it out. Like, you're not allowed to notice. You're not allowed to express concern about the fact that the system isn't working anymore. So you are the one getting backlash. It's not the person that fucked with the system, that destroyed the system and moved it away from what it was supposed to do. No, you are the problem for talking about it. And when you look at the American military, it's what's happening, right? Like the military is basically supposed to be a group of men that form a fighting unit and they are willing to lay their lives down for their country, right? So in some places, you now have an ideology that goes, it's like, well, actually, did you know that America is systemically racist and you need to be aware of different races and shit? So you can't really go and say, well, you're not like white, black, you like all of you are green. Like all of you are green marine, right? Like all of you are in this together. No, now it's about identity politics. Like you have an identity and you have your own political interests based on that identity. And other people from different identities, you know, they may work together with you as allies or they may work against you. So you're now polluting the mind of this system that was working as intended, like objectively so, because you can notice the dominance that the United States military had over the world. And you start to tinker with it, and you start to fuck with it, and you're ruining the cohesion. So when you go toe-to-toe with another nation that has the cohesion level of ant people, where everyone can just like simultaneously do things, yeah, I can see why it horrifies people, you know? And then you start to notice that everywhere is the same, like everywhere. You had companies that were producing excellence And all of a sudden, like, someone tinkered with them, someone changed something, and now they don't know how to regain that excellence. I mean, Gillette, right? Like, Gillette produces razors, it focuses on razors, and then it makes a commercial that's incredibly divisive and pisses people off. And the question is, like, why? Why was that needed? Why did that have to be there? It had absolutely nothing to do with selling razors. But they fucked with the system regardless, just for the sake of fucking with it, because, like, some people had to grift some money out of the system. And you look at the entertainment industry, and it's the same shit, right? Like, Disney used to dominate not just American culture, but culture worldwide. And now I see Gura singing at the Dodgers. Like, a lot of right-wingers are upset. It's like, why did they choose Gura to sing at the Dodgers? And I agree, you know, they should have picked someone from Disney. It should have been Looney Tunes, or it should have been like an American production, original from America, not something that's imported. I know that Gura is American herself, but like, this is a Japanese cultural thing, right? But like, America just can't compete. Like, it's incapable of. Like, it just is not even the little engine that could. It's like, at this point, it's like a cargo cult when it comes to entertainment. Like they know that planes can fly, and they know, like, Disney can make good cultural movies, but they just do not know how. So when you apply this to every single aspect of the country, whether it's entertainment, whether it's the military, whether it's economic, whether it's like all of these other factions, yeah, when someone looks at a country that doesn't do things this way, and it's more like, can you beat the drum, and how good are you at beating the drum, and we're going to get, like, the best 2,000 people that can beat drums to be there, and you're comparing your country with that, it becomes a little bit worrisome. It becomes a little bit worrisome because even if things aren't really bad today, the trend is there, and you are going towards a system where people can't beat the drum in synchronicity because people keep messing with it. And they have no interest in preserving the system either. Like you're looking at what's happening with Disney, which is a juggernaut, right? And constantly used to shit excellence. And now it doesn't shit excellence. And then I'm wondering, like, what happened? Why can't we hold people responsible? Like, why can't we fire people? No, like, they keep going, and they're just shutting down criticism. They're hiding it under the rug. So the question is, like, how long can this go on? And you notice on the world stage, it's like, yeah, like with everything, America is starting to lose its influence. Like, when it comes to culture, Disney is not number one. You now have China and South Korea and Japan taking over entertainment. When it comes to the military, right now, America is still number one, but you notice what's happening in Afghanistan, you notice what's happening in other parts of the world, and you're starting to go like, okay, well, if things stay the way they are, it's good. But will they remain the way they are? Because, like, the trend is not towards stability, and it's not towards improvement. So, I don't know. It was just an interesting observation, right? It all came from the fact that people were scared about the Chinese performance at the Olympics. I found it to be fascinating. Let me know what you guys think, though. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.